Depression isn't one size fits all. It wears many faces, whispers in different voices, and changes how your brain works in surprisingly specific ways. Today, we're unpacking 10 types of depression, what they feel like, what's happening inside your brain, and what can help you heal. 1. Major depressive disorders. Let's start with the one people know best, major depressive disorder, or MDD. This is what most think of when they hear clinical depression. It's more than feeling sad. It's an all-consuming heaviness that colors every thought, every moment. People with MDD often wake up exhausted no matter how much they sleep. They lose interest in things that once made them feel alive. Appetite changes, aches, and a mind stuck on repeat with hopeless, self-critical thoughts are common. In the brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part that helps you plan, focus, and solve problems, goes sluggish. Meanwhile, the amygdala, your brain's fear center, fires off nonstop, making small worries feel like huge threats. Treatment helps. SSRIs work by raising serotonin levels so your brain can find balance again. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches you to challenge those automatic negative thoughts. And exercise, sleep, and small daily routines rebuild your brain's resilience, one step at a time. 2. Persistent depressive disorder. Persistent depressive disorder, sometimes called dysthymia, is like living under a gray sky that never fully clears. It's not as intense as major depression, but it lingers for years, at least 2, often many more. People with PDD might function well enough to work and socialize, but inside they feel a constant low mood, low energy, and a sense that joy just doesn't stick around. Small wins feel muted, and the brain's reward system, fueled by dopamine, often runs sluggish. Life can feel flat and colorless, like watching the world through dirty glass. Because it's so chronic, many people don't even realize they're depressed. They think this is just who they are. But it isn't. Long-term talk therapy helps retrain the brain to seek and recognize moments of pleasure again. Low-dose antidepressants can help too. And daily structure, regular sleep, movement, and meaningful activities can gradually nudge the brain's reward pathways back online, bringing back a sense of lightness and hope. 3. Bipolar depression. Bipolar depression isn't just an ordinary low mood. It's one side of bipolar disorder where crushing lows collide with sudden highs. In the depressive phase, life can feel impossibly heavy, deep sadness, fatigue, and a hollow sense of hopelessness. But unlike major depression, bipolar depression is paired with manic or hypomanic episodes, periods of intense energy, racing thoughts, impulsive spending, or grand plans that feel unstoppable. It's like living on a seesaw. Your brain can't balance. The brain struggles to regulate these swings, especially in areas like the frontal cortex and limbic system, which control mood and emotion. Treatment for bipolar depression is delicate. Antidepressants alone can push someone into mania. So, mood stabilizers like lithium or anticonvulsants are essential to even out the brain's mood circuits. Structured sleep, routine, and therapy help too. Living with bipolar depression means learning to manage both sides of the coin, calming the highs, softening the lows, and finding stability in between. 4th, seasonal affective disorder. Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is more than just the winter blues. It's a real type of depression triggered by the changing seasons, usually starting in late fall and lifting in spring. When sunlight fades, so does your mood. People with SAD often feel drained, sleep more but never feel rested, crave carbs, and struggle to get out of bed when it's dark and cold outside. The brain's chemistry plays a big role here. Less sunlight means your body produces more melatonin, which makes you sleepy, and less serotonin, which keeps you happy and balanced. Your internal clock or circadian rhythm can also get thrown off, confusing your sleep and energy patterns. The good news? Light therapy is one of the most effective treatments. Sitting near a special light box for 20 to 30 minutes a day can mimic natural daylight and help reset your brain's clock. Vitamin D, outdoor walks, and a consistent routine can also help your mood defrost. 5. Postpartum depression. Postpartum depression isn't just baby blues. While mood swings and tears are common after childbirth, postpartum depression goes deeper and lasts longer. It can show up days or weeks after giving birth and brings overwhelming sadness, anxiety, and exhaustion that make it hard to bond with the baby. Many new moms feel guilty or ashamed, wondering why they can't just snap out of it. But this is real depression, driven by a sudden crash in pregnancy hormones like estrogen and progesterone, plus sleep deprivation, new responsibilities, and sometimes lack of support. In the brain, these hormonal shifts can disrupt serotonin and dopamine, messing with mood and motivation. Treatment is not one size fits all, but therapy and support groups help mothers feel less alone. Sometimes safe antidepressants are prescribed, even for breastfeeding moms. Partners, family, and friends can play a huge role by sharing nighttime duties, listening without judgment, and reminding moms they're not failing and they're healing. 6. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or PMDD, takes PMS to another level, one that can feel crushing every single month. It shows up in the week or two before a period, when hormone levels shift dramatically. For some, this means severe mood swings, anger, crying spells, and a sense of losing control over emotions. Unlike typical PMS, PMDD can deeply disrupt daily life, work, and relationships. In the brain, PMDD is linked to an extreme sensitivity to normal hormonal changes, especially progesterone. This sensitivity messes with serotonin, which regulates mood and emotional balance. Many who struggle with PMDD feel misunderstood because the symptoms can sound like just hormones, but the reality is far more intense. Treatments include SSRIs, which can be taken just during the luteal phase, or birth control pills to stabilize hormone fluctuations. Regular exercise, good sleep, and stress management can also help reduce the storm. PMDD is real, but with support and care, it doesn't have to control your month. 7. Atypical depression. Typical depression can be confusing because the name makes it sound rare, but it's pretty common. What makes it atypical is that it doesn't always look like the classic image of depression. You might still feel moments of happiness when something good happens, but underneath, there's a constant heaviness and deep fatigue. People with atypical depression often sleep too much, overeat, especially craving carbs, and feel intensely sensitive to rejection or criticism. The brain side of this involves dopamine and serotonin imbalances that mess with motivation and reward. The limbic system, the part that handles emotions, stays on high alert so small setbacks can feel huge. It's not about being dramatic. It's about how the brain processes stress and connection. Treatments include medications like MAOIs or bupropion, which work differently than standard antidepressants. Therapy focused on self-worth and resilience helps too. With understanding and the right approach, a typical depression can be managed, and life can feel lighter again. 8. Situational depression. Situational depression, also called adjustment disorder, isn't a permanent mental illness. It's your brain and body reacting to a tough life event. Think breakups, losing a job, big moves, or grief. It's normal to feel sad when life throws a curveball, but situational depression happens when that sadness sticks around and makes it hard to function day to day. You might feel overwhelmed, cry more easily, lose motivation, or struggle to sleep. The brain gets flooded with stress hormones like cortisol, which can mess with emotional regulation and make everyday problems feel huge. The good news, this kind of depression usually fades as you adapt to the change. But that doesn't mean you just have to tough it out. Therapy helps process the situation and build coping skills. Support from friends or the community can ease the load too. When you face big changes, it's okay to get help. Situational depression shows us how deeply life and mental health are connected, and how healing often starts with understanding. 9. Psychotic depression. Psychotic depression is one of the most severe and misunderstood forms of depression. It happens when deep, relentless depression combines with symptoms of psychosis, like hallucinations or delusions. People with psychotic depression might hear voices, see things that aren't there, or believe things that aren't true, often revolving around themes of guilt, worthlessness, or intense fear. The brain's dopamine system, which affects perception and reward, goes into overdrive, distorting reality while the rest of the brain struggles under the heavy weight of depression. This mix can make people feel isolated or terrified to tell anyone what's happening, but help exists, and it works. Treatment usually combines antidepressants with antipsychotic medication to balance both mood and perception. In severe or urgent cases, electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, can be life-saving and remarkably effective. Psychotic depression reminds us that mental illness can change how we see reality and that compassionate, specialized care is key to recovery. No one should face it alone. 10. Treatment-resistant depression. Treatment-resistant depression is what happens when depression doesn't respond to the usual fixes. Maybe you've tried 2, 3, or more antidepressants, different talk therapies, and lifestyle changes, but the darkness lingers. For some, this feels like proof that they're beyond help, but that's not true. The brain in treatment-resistant depression may have deeper problems with neuroplasticity and connectivity, meaning the usual pathways for mood and motivation are blocked or misfiring. Sometimes new treatments open those pathways up. Options like ketamine infusions can rapidly lift the mood in some people by creating new neural connections. TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, can wake up underactive brain regions. ECT, though old school and misunderstood, remains one of the most effective treatments for the toughest depression cases. Beyond medical options, new approaches like nutritional psychiatry, nervous system work, and trauma-informed therapy help too. Treatment-resistant depression is stubborn, but it's not unbeatable. It just needs a different key to unlock healing. So, depression isn't just sadness. It's a brain-body condition with many faces, and each face needs its approach. If any of these types sound familiar, please know this. Depression is treatable. You're not broken. Your brain just needs help finding balance again. Talk to a professional, reach out, and remind yourself daily, healing is possible. Which type did you relate to most? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. If this helped you understand depression better, hit like, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more simple brain science that makes sense. Take care of your mind. It's the only one you've got. Better brain days.